Again, our chemistry is the science that describes matter, its properties, the changes it undergoes, and the energy changes that accompany those processes. So no one can be an expert in all aspects of such a broad science as chemistry. Kaya again, ang chemistry natin is divided into very different branches. Mayroon ka organic chem, mayroon ka inorganic chem, qualitative chemistry, quantitative chemistry, clinical chemistry, may food chemistry, so on and so forth. So no one can be an expert again in all aspects of such a broad science such as chemistry. Sometimes we arbitrarily divide the study of chemistry into various branches. Carbon is very versatile in its bonding and behavior and is a key element in many substances that are essential to life. All living matters contains compounds with carbon combined with hydrogen and sometimes with a few other elements such as oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. So kids, ano gani ang aton di nga subject ADGE 211 stands for your ano nga subject? General and Organic Chemistry. Again, General and Organic Chemistry. Organic chemistry, kids. Amo na siya tutunan, kid, diba? So, organic chemistry is the study of all such compounds. Anong gawa kayo mga compounds, kids? Aring naka-bold nga letter? This is carbon. Organic chemistry is the study of your carbon compounds. Again, kamo ba? Hello, kids. Organic chemistry is the study sang ano? Ang aton organic chemistry.
Carbon compounds, sir.
Yes, your carbon compounds and those along with carbon ang nakasabay sa iya. Such as your hydrogen, your oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. Next, inorganic chemistry naman ta. Pero ang main highlight dito sa organic chemistry natin is, again, carbon. Next, you have inorganic chemistry. Your inorganic chemistry naman is the study of all other compounds. Pero hindi carbon. Again, organic chemistry is the study of your carbon compounds. Ang tanan niya hindi carbon compounds, that is inorganic chemistry. But it also includes some of the simpler carbon-containing compounds such as carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, carbonates, and bicarbonates na dalahig lang gamay sa carbon. But again, ang inorganic chemistry natin is the study of all other compounds not related to carbon. The branch of chemistry that is concerned with the detection or identification of substances present in a sample na naman is your qualitative analysis or with the amount of each that is present is your quantitative analysis, and ang nga duwa nga analysis is for your analytical chemistry. Magambay ko mo, kids, dito na pagtunan ha, ang qualitative and quantitative analysis of your analytical chemistry. But gusto ko lang mabalaan, kids. Maghambal ko mo qualitative analysis, basahan ko liwat, kids. Concerned with the detection or identification of substances present in a sample. Meaning, if may ara siya or wala, that is your qualitative analysis. Or with the amount of each that is present, that is your quantitative analysis. Amount of each that is present, that is your quantitative analysis. Kung identification or detection, that is your qualitative analysis. Kung iligay nun ko, kids, ano kinalain ni qualitative kag ni quantitative analysis based sa ilang description? Maghampal ka, kids, detection or identification, mabalaan mo if may ara or wala. Positive siya or negative. I'll give you an example, kids, ang qualitative analysis naton. Ang qualitative analysis, for example, ano guys, sa mga pandemic ang uso, di sa aton ang ara gid widespread all around the world. Ano ang pandemic ini? Pandemic nga man nag-online ta kani subong tungod sa Pandemic. Ano nga lang tong pandemic?
COVID-19.
COVID, sir.
COVID-19, sir, virus.
Kung magkadto ka mo sa hospital, kids, paano gani ina-detect ka may COVID ka? Through swabbing?
Swab
Swab test. Or a screening test before sa swab test, correct?
Yes.
Kung maghambal ka mo, kids, qualitative analysis, Kids, you are detecting a COVID positive patient or negative. Ginabalaan mo lang siya if positive siya or negative. So, gets nyo kung anong qualitative analysis?
Yes, sir.
Kung positive lang siya or negative. Ha? Kung quantitative analysis naman, kids, basahon taliwat ang description, quantitative analysis. Amount of each that is present. Amount of each, meaning may exact number kagit present. So kids, in this example na naman, kung may hepa, ang isa ka tao, hepatitis naman siya, kids, hepatitis. Ay, hindi, drugs na lang, kaya para mas related, kids, inyo. Drugs na lang, kids. So, sa drug test natin, kids, your cannabinoids, or ang imo, kids, na shabu kag marijuana, bala, cannabinoids mo na. The amount of each that is present, kids, maghambal ka. Ang exact numbers ang amount nga ni-detect sa imo nga. Last, bali may number, gina siya 1.71, 2.50. Muna, siya, hindi siya positive ka lang for drug test or negative for drug test, may number siya. So kids, I am asking you now, kung positive or negative, qualitative or quantitative analysis?
Qualitative.
Qualitative analysis.
Kung mag-quantitative analysis ka, may, ano, may
Amount.
numbers.
Numbers, sir, na involved.
Kung sa quantitative analysis, paano mo balaan kung negative ka, kung 0.00 ang nagagawa? Kids, magamit yun, ibisan magpa-laboratory kung masakit ka mo sa ulihin, correct? Kung maghambal ka, makuton ka bisang imo nga doktor. Or sa medtech mo, or kung nurse man da. Ano nga test ni sir sa HEPA? Qualitative or quantitative? Kung gusto mo lang mabalaan may HEPA ka, wala sabton mo, qualitative. Diba?
Qualitative.
So,
Yes,
gets yun na kung ano kinalain sa qualitative kag quantitative analysis?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The combination of your qualitative analysis, kids, and quantitative analysis is your analytical chemistry. So, that is your analytical chemistry. Again, review. Kung organic chemistry, gani naton, ano to? Study of?
Is the study of all types of carbon compounds, sir.
Yes.
Carbon, sir.
Carbon nato na compounds. Kung inorganic chemistry, kids,
Wala na pinaka-carbon.
wala na dala si carbon, correct? Other compounds but not related to carbon. Okay? Klaro naman sa analytical chemistry. Next, you have physical chemistry or your physics. Your physical chemistry applies the mathematical theories and methods of physics to the properties of matter and to the study of chemical processes and the accompanying energy changes. As its name suggests naman, you have your biochemistry is the study of chemistry of the living organism. So, ang ato na physical and biochemistry is somewhat useless na di sa aton sa CRIM. So, amo na dapat balaan nyo lang ang iyang description. Physical chemistry applies to the mathematical theories and methods of physics to the properties of matter and to the study of the chemical process. An example of your physical chemistry, kids, is your velocity kung magkadto ka sa from one distance to another. And your biochemistry na naman, you kids, is the study of the chemistry of the processes of living organisms. Kung paano ka maginhawa, kung ano ni nga parts ng body mo, nga man may amunika nga unod sa lawas, so that is your biochemistry. Ano ni siya nga element, nga susunod sa lawas ta, gubuhi sa aton. Ang blood naton, ano na nga element, ang components ng blood naton, that is your biochemistry naman niya. So again, hindi ito ni hindi tagawampos na ng physical and biochemistry. Pero dapat balaan because we have general chemistry sa ato na course. Next, matter and energy, kids. Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Again, matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Ang ginaginhawa ta, matter. Ang ginakaptan nyo na, kids, ang ginasuksik nyo, matter man siya. Because matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Kung mass na naman kids sinastoryanta, mass is a measure of the quantity of matter in a sample of any material. Ang mass, again kids, measure of the quantity of matter in a sample of any material. Kids, mass, kung iligay nun ta, masyang pagsukat sa kabugaton niya. Ang kadamuon sang matter nga ara sa any material ang pagsukat sa kabugaton, that is your mass. The more massive an object, kids, is, the more force is required to put in motion para mapahulag ta. Kung mas bugat siya, kailangan ta more force to exert. para mapahulag to siya. All bodies consist of matter. Our senses of sight, touch, tells us that an object occupies space. In the case, aside from in the case of colorless, odorless accesses such as your air, our senses may fail us. But again, ano ganing matter to kids? Very common.
It's
It's,
anything that has mass
Is
and occupying space.
yes, muna siya ang aton matter. So, ang ginaginhawat, ang ginakaptan ta na kids, tubig ba? Is it matter or not?
matter, sir.
Matter. Kung
Matter.
mass, kung mass naman kids, ano gani ang mass, ihiligay nun yung bisakon kung naintindihan nyo?
Ang kabugaton, sir.
Ang kabugaton, it is the measure of the
Measures ang particular kabugaton, sir.
Yes, correct. That's it. Next, energy. Energy naman kids. Energy is defined as the capacity to do work or to transfer heat. So we are familiar, kids, with the many forms of energy, including your mechanical energy, light energy, electrical energy, and heat energy. So kids, first and foremost, you have your light energy. Comes from the sun and is used by plants as they grow. Next, electrical energy allows us to light a room by flicking a switch using electric. Next, we have heat energy to cook our food and warm our homes. Energy can be classified now into two principal types. We have your kinetic energy and potential energy. Kinetic and potential energy. Those are your two principal types of energy. A body in motion, kids, such as rolling boulders, possesses energy because of its motion, such energy is called your kinetic energy. Your kinetic energy, kids, represents the capacity for doing work directly. It is easily transferred between objects. So kids, in simple terms, ang kinetic energy nyo is just a body in motion which produces energy. Kung maghulag ka, nag-produce ka sa energy. Siya ang kinetic energy nimo kung maghulag ka. Next, potential energy is the energy of an object that it possesses because of its position, your condition, or its composition. Coal, for example, possesses chemical energy, a form of potential energy because of its composition. Kids, ang potential energy naman natin is an energy that is ara na gid nga daan sa iya. Ang example, ang uling. Ang uling natin is potential energy. Ang coal natin na ginagamit sa mga train niya sinauna is your potential energy. Why? Because sa iya gid nga position, sa iya gid nga composition mismo kasi siya condition, it is already in energy. For example, magamit ko masang uling. Ano gina-produce ang uling? Tagani na-produce sang heat energy, correct? Because of its composition. So potential energy is energy that is wait lang kids. Drama picture pa tao. Again, we have your potential energy, kids. Because of its composition na mismo, it is already an energy. So we have your two principal types of energy. So what? Ano tong duwa ka energy? Kids, you have...
Kinetic and potential, sir.
Kung kahulag, kids, ano na siya?
Kinetic.
Kinetic.
Sir.
And kung ara naman tungod na siya nga position or sa condition ay
Potential
composition.
energies.
Next, we discuss energy because all chemical processes are accompanied by energy changes. As some processes occur, energy is released to the surroundings, usually as heat energy. We call such processes as exothermic. Any combustion or burning reaction is exothermic. Some chemical reactions and physical changes. And next, we have endothermic. Kung ba naman kung kids endothermic, that is, they absorb energy from their surroundings. An example of a physical change that is endothermic is the melting of ice. So, ano kinalain naman ni exothermic at ni endothermic? Sa exothermic, kids, it releases energy from its surroundings, ga-release sa kids through combustion or through heat energy. Meaning, kung hiligay ng taggalupok, nagsayang ga-release sang energy. Ga-release sa kids sang energy. So, magaboy ko kids sang bomba, grenade,
Exothermic, sir.
exothermic. Next, we have endothermic kids. They absorb naman, analyzing kids, they absorb energy naman from their surroundings. Kung tugnaw kids ang sulod sang ref, ang tubig na to nag-ano?
Gatas.
Ga-ice. So, nag-release or nag-absorb?
Ga-absorb, sir.
Ga-absorb. Is that exothermic or endothermic?
Endothermic.
Endo, sir.
Correct. So, balaan nyo na kung ano kinalain sa exothermic? Kag sa endothermic. Kung nagapagwa siya or nag-release sa again, it is
Exothermic.
exothermic. Usually, ang exothermic kids, through combustion or heat energy ang iyapagwa. Ha? If we are endothermic naman, naga-absorb or naga-release?
Absorb, sir.
Nag-absorb. Correct. So, gets yun na?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Review that na before we proceed. And is one type of principal type of energy that moves in motion. Kinetic or potential?
Kinetic energy.
Kinetic.
Energy.
Kung due to its composition mismo, energy na siya?
Potential.
Potential.
Potential, sir.
If it is absorbed by the surroundings, exothermic or endothermic?
Endothermic.
But if it releases heat energy or a combustion, nagalupok sa
Exothermic.
Exothermic.
the study of carbon compounds,
Organic.
organic, study of all other compounds not related to carbon.
Inorganic.
Kung maghambal itong
Organic.
kids nga positive or negative, siya, ano siya kasi analysis? Quantitative or qualitative?
Qualitative.
Qualitative.
Qualitative, sir.
Kung may numbers involved sa aton nga analysis, quanti or quali?
Quantity.
Very good. Next, we have the law of conservation of matter. When we burn a sample of metallic magnesium in oxygen, the magnesium combines with oxygen to form your magnesium oxide, a white powder. This chemical reaction is accompanied by the release of large amounts of heat, energy, and light energy. When we weigh the product of the reaction, the magnesium oxide, we find that it is heavier than the original piece of magnesium. The increase in the mass of a solid is due to the composition of oxygen with magnesium to form your magnesium oxide. Many experiments have shown that the mass of magnesium oxide is exactly the sum of the masses of magnesium and oxygen that is combined to form it. Similar the statement can be made for all chemical reactions. These observations are summarized in the law of conservation of matter. There is no observable change. Ang mga kids ang ato na law of conservation of matter. There is no observable change in the quantity of matter during a chemical reaction or during a physical change. So, meaning ni kids, bisa nag-combine pa to ang aton nga. Explain ko na ng simple ha, ang imuni ko, ang sababaw. So, ang kaliwat, ang law of conservation of matter. There is no observable change in the quantity of matter during a chemical reaction or during a physical change. Bisan mag-combine pa to kids ang aton na magnesium kag oxygen. Kids, ang kadamo ni magnesium, ang kadamo ni oxygen buhin, nagdamo, wala. That is the law of conservation of matter. Again, basahan ko. Metallic magnesium natin in oxygen, nag-combine si magnesium kay oxygen to form your magnesium oxide. Naging, ano siya dahil kids, naging white powder due to the combination of your magnesium and your oxygen. Pag combine niya kids, nagdamo siya or wala? Wala. Nag-ilis lang sa. During a physical change, that is the law of conservation of matter. There is no observable change in the quantity of matter. Quantity kadamoon niya kids. Quantity of matter during a chemical reaction or during a physical change. Wala gid may naglain sa kadamoon niya kids. Kung ano to kadamo si magnesium mo oxygen. A moment sige po after yan naging white powder. Clear ta sa law of conservation of matter?
Yes, sir.
Bisan anhon pa na siya kids, ang magdisyo ka oxygen. Pag ilis siya sa physical change ang kadamuon niya, the same man. Kaya that is the law of conservation of matter. Next, the law of conservation of energy naman, kids. Masama ko na energy cannot be created. This is law of conservation of energy. The energy cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction or in a physical change. It can only be converted from one form to another. In exothermic chemical reactions, chemical energy is usually converted into heat energy. Some exothermic processes involve other kinds of energy changes. For example, some liberate light energy without heat, and others produce electrical energy without heat or light. In endothermic reactions, heat energy, light energy, or electrical energy is converted into chemical energy. Although chemical changes always involve energy changes, some energy transformations do not involve chemical changes at all. For example, heat energy may be converted into electrical energy or into mechanical energy without any simultaneous chemical changes. Many experiments have demonstrated that all the energy involved in any chemical or physical change appears in some form after the change. These observations are summarized in the law of conservation of energy. Again, energy cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction or in a physical change. It can only be converted from one form to another. So, kids, law of conservation of energy. Ang energy naton, kids, hindi ta maguba, hindi ta maubra. It can only be converted from one. Again, ang aton energy, kids, hindi ta maguba, hindi ta man maubra, pwede ta lang ma-convert from one type of energy into another. For example, one instance, kids, sa mga power plants naton, using solar energy. Kids, ang sun naton, or heat energy from the sun, ginaubrata na? No. Solar panels
Wala, sir.
ginagamit. Ginaubrata na ang init sang sun, wala.
Wala.
Ginano ta lang. Ginakuha ka gina-convert through
Energy.
gina-convert ta into electrical energy from our solar panels. Gina-absorb sa solar panels, gina-convert it to electrical energy. Nga mo na ang ginagamit naton nga kuryente. That is the use of your solar panels, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sa windmills naman natin, your wind energy sa windmills, kids, kina-convert man natin into electrical energy in your windmill power plants, correct? So that is the law of your conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed in a chemical reaction or in a physical change. Convert niya lang from one form to another. Clear ta sa law of conservation of energy? Gets niyo?
Yes, sir.
Klaro? Next, you have your states of matter. Ang gambaga mas kids sa states of matter is your kids sa senior high nyo, sa high school, sa elementary. Your three states of matter. Ano na gani? Three states of matter, kids.
Solid, liquid, gas, sir.
Solid,
Pinaka
liquid.
liquid, yes, sir.
Yes, correct. Solid, liquid, and gas. So, may sila tatlong pinaka-importante. Matters can be classified into three states, although most of us can think of examples that do not fit neatly into any of these three categories. The solid state substances are rigid and have definite shape. Tiga sila and they have definite shape. Ang bato mo, tiga na and has a definite shape that is a solid state of a substance. Volumes of solids do not vary much with changes in temperature and pressure. So, bisan ano pa kainit, kalamig, ang bato, gina siya gyapon, tigaan na siya, wala sa gilain. Kung bilog na ang bato, bilog na ang bato. That is in your solid state. In many solids, called your crystalline solids, the individual particles that make up the solid occupy definite positions in the crystal structures. The strength of interactions between the individual particles determine how hard and how strong the crystals are. So, in a solid state, kids, ang yang definition, it is rigid and they have definite shapes. That is your solid state or your solid mismo. In the liquid state naman, kids, liquid, tubig na to. The individual particles are confined to a given volume. Again, the individual particles are confined to a given volume. A liquid flows and assumes the shape of its container up to the volume of the liquid. Liquids are very hard to compress. Okay, it's a liquid. Again, assumes the shape of its container up to the volume of the liquid. For example, may plastic bottle ko, kids, ang plastic bottle ko of 500 ml. Ginbutangan ko sa tubig. Therefore, ang description ko sa tubig yun pila ka ml ang tubig ko. Ginbutangan ko sa plastic bottle of 500 ml. 500 ml. Anong shape niya? Plastic bottle. Correct? So that is the liquid state, kids. It assumes the shape of its container up to the volume of the liquid. Ang volume to sang liquid ko, 500 ml. Therefore, 500 ml ang akong tubig na ara. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That is your liquid. Next, we have gases. Budlay din ni compressed kids ang ato na liquid again. Na. Next, we have gases. Gases are much less dense than liquid and solid. Again, they are much less dense than liquid and solids. That is your liquids. They are gases, sorry. They occupy all parts of any vessel in which they are confined. For example, a balloon. Gases are capable of infinite expansion and are compressed very easily. Kung ang budlay i-compress ang aton liquids, kids, ang aton nga gas, they are compressed easily and they are capable of infinite expansion. Those are your gases. We conclude that they consist primarily of empty space, meaning that the individual particles are quite far apart. Ang isa ka particles ng gas, malayo sa isa ka particle. Kung liquid, kids, would like compress apos? Liquid, are they very hard to compress or apos?
Budlay.
Hapos lang, sir.
Liquid, again, budlay hapos?
Opos lang, sir.
Hard to compress, liquids. Hapos i-compress.
Budlay, sir.
Gases naman. Kung liquids, hard to compress, di ba? Ang gases, budlay hapos. They are compressed easily, gases na. If they have a rigid and definite shape, solid, liquid, or gas? Solid. Particles are far apart, solid, liquid, or gas? Our gas.
Gas, sir.
Gas. They assume the shape of their container.
Liquid.
Liquid.
Liquid, sir.
They are capable of infinite expansions.
Gas.
So that is the three states of matter. Your solid, your liquid, and your gas. Kirtas, states of matter naton.
Yes, sir.
2 pages na lang, kids. Gamay na lang. Kapoy na ka mo? Goods pa?
No, sir.
2 pages na lang. Next, you have your chemical and physical properties. Chemical properties are exhibited by matter as it undergoes changes in its composition. These property substances are related to the kinds of chemical changes that the substances undergo. For instance, we have already described the combination of your metallic magnesium with gaseous oxygen to form your magnesium oxide, a white powder. Ito bahagi na sa law of conservation of matter. Ari bala na dali ka dito. Ang pag-combine ni magnesium kag ni oxygen. Dito ko. A chemical property of magnesium is that it can combine with oxygen, releasing energy in the processes. A chemical property of oxygen is that it can combine with magnesium. So again, ang iyang chemical property of oxygen gid pa-combine sa iya sa magnesium. Ang iyang chemical property o muna naging mag-ano siya ganiya? Magnesium oxide. So that is a chemical property. Again, sa sulod yung mismo, in its composition, nagid mismo sa oxygen, pwede siya makakombine kay magnesium. amo na naka-form sa isang magnesium oxide, and that is a example of your chemical properties. So it is related to the bonding of your chemicals, bonding some chemicals. Again, we will discuss that later in depth sa later chapters natin. Next, we have all substances also exhibit physical properties that can be observed in the absence of any change in composition, such as your color, density, hardness, melting point, boiling point, and an electrical and thermal conductivities. Those are all physical properties. Pag sa color, physical property na. Pagkatigahan niya, or hardness, that is your physical property. Pag tunaw, pag boil niya, physical property. So some physical properties of a substance depend on the conditions such as temperature, pressure, or under which they are measured. For instance, water is solid at low temperatures, kaya naging ice. Low temperatures, kids. Kung bago mo low temperature, kids, nagalamig, init.
Galamig,
Galamig,
sir.
Galamig. Kung gataas ang temperature, naga-init. O kids, kung magnubo ang temperature ang tubig, naga-ice. Kung in higher temperatures, nga pabuklanta ang tubig, ga-init. Correct? Naga-boil siya.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that
Gay
is
ba ng tubig, sir?
yes. That is an example of your physical property melting point, yeah. Katigahon niya or nag-ilis sa bicolor. At still higher temperature, it is a gas or steam kay nagpabukal ka tubig, di ba? Ang imo tubig naging gas, nag-associates, naging steam. As water is converted from one state to another, its composition is still constant. Meaning ang tubig, isang naging ice sa tubig siya pa hindi.
Tubig niya po, sir.
Pag associates, naging steam na siya, tubig
Iba
yapon na
pa.
hindi.
Tubig.
Tubig.
Yeah.
Pero nag-ilis ang iakids nga physical properties. So are we clear sa chemical and physical properties?
Yes, sir.
Ang sa chemical properties
Yes,
naman,
sir.
kids, sa magnesium oxide naman tabalik. Ang magnesium na ito nag-combine kay oxygen, naging magnesium oxide. Ang oxygen naton, oxygen man Japan hindi. Oxygen man sa Japan sa magnesium oxide, di ba? Pero ano naglain siya? Nag-combine siya chemically with your magnesium. And that is your chemical properties naman niya. Clear ta sa dua? What are your two types of your two types of properties sa states of matter again? Chemical and
Physical.
physical. So clear na to that. So we have next, last na natin yung page kids po, why na dahil. Next, you have your chemical and physical changes. And this reaction is a chemical change. In any chemical changes, we have three states. First, the statement is one or more substances are used up or at least partially, meaning ang isang mga substance when undergoing a chemical change, gabuhin partially or ginaubos sigid. Number 2 nga statement, one or more new substances are formed. Gingamit ang bilog mo na ang yung partially kag oxygen pag-combine sa magnesium oxide naging magnesium oxide sa pag-combine. One or more new substances are formed. And number 3, energy is absorbed or released. So those are your three statements in your chemical change. One or more substances are used up, at least partially. Number 2, one or more new substances are formed. And number 3, energy is absorbed or released. For example, ang hydrogen naton kag ang aton nga oxygen nag-combine duha ka hydrogen kag isa ka oxygen, naging ano siya? Duha ka hydrogen, isa ka oxygen,
Water, sir.
naging water. So gingamit mo partially ang imong oxygen kag hydrogen. Number 1. Number 2, may nag-form nga bag-o pag combine mo sa duha ka hydrogen kag oxygen? Yes or no? One or more new substances are formed. So pag combine mo sa hydrogen kag oxygen,
Ano form?
nag-form. Anong nag-form?
Water.
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 Number 3, it is absorbed or released na to your surroundings. Ang energy na ginagamit niya. to form your water. Amo na nasa. As substances undergo chemical changes, they demonstrate their chemical properties. Ang hydrogen sa tubig, hydrogen man nagyapon. Ang oxygen sa tubig is oxygen man gyapon, pero nag-form sa bagong substance. Ang energy gamit, gin-absorb nila or gin-release na to their surrounding. So that is your chemical change. Next, you have your physical changes naman, kids. On the other hand, occur with no change in their chemical composition. Physical properties are usually altered significantly as matter undergoes physical changes. For example, tubig naman taliwat. At low temperatures, ang tubig mo nag-ice. At higher temperatures, naging gas. So that is example of physical change. Pero ang tubig mo, kids, pag is ice still water?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. At higher temperatures, ang water nato naging steam. Ang steam nga na, is it still water? Yes, and that is a physical change na naman natin. And lastly, kids, mixtures, substances, compounds, and elements. Sa mixtures natin, kids, these are combinations of two or more pure substances in which each substance retains its own composition and properties. That is an description of your mixture. Magamba ko mo, kids, pure substances. Any idea? Example of your pure substance na lang. Kids, clue. Ara ni sila tanan sa periodic table of elements. Gay ko isa.
Oxygen, sir.
Oxygen. Correct. Pag gumambal ka mo, kids, ang pure substances, those are your elements. Your elements are your pure substances. And diin ta makita ang ato na elements gani sa table of elements.
Element.
So kids, mixtures natin, combination lang sa two or more elements. So is water a mixture or not?
Mixture.
Mixture. Okay, again, mixtures are combinations of two or more pure substances in which each substance retains its own composition and properties. The most easily recognized type of mixture is one in which different portions of the sample have recognizably different properties. Such a mature watch is not uniform throughout is called your heterogeneous mixtures. Examples include mixtures of salt and charcoal in which two components of different colors can be distinguished readily from each other by sight, or your foggy air, which includes a suspended mist of your water droplets and vegetable soup. So again, mag-heterogeneous, duwa ka mixture nga lain-lain gid ang components. So that is just a simple explanation sa ato na heterogeneous mixture. Ang pala tandaan nyo, para matandaan nyo kung heterogeneous na. Ang iya nga mixture, kids, is not uniform throughout. Again, is not uniform throughout. Those are your heterogeneous mixtures. Another kind of mixture naman natin has uniform properties throughout. Again, mag-uniform throughout siya, such as described as your homogeneous mixtures. Again, these are your homogeneous mixtures. And it's ang other name sa ato na homogeneous mixtures, kids, is a solution. Example include a salt water, some others which are homogeneous mixtures in the solid state, and air, free of particulates, matter, or mist. Kaya again, ang aton kaginang kids heterogeneous, anong foggy air naton? Nga man hindi siya homogeneous mixture. Kaya again, may water droplets sa may vegetable soup pa siya. That is foggy air. Ang air gidya mismo, free of particulate matter or mist because it is ang iya properties uniform throughout. Kung liquid siya, tanan liquid na siya. Kung gas na siya. Air is a mixture of just gases. Ginakid sa foggy air naton, gas lang to?
No.
No. Water droplets pagid siya. May vegetable soup pa siya. Therefore, it produces foggy air. Is it homogeneous or heterogeneous? Hetero. Kung homogeneous naman, kids, uniform throughout ang iya mixture. Kung liquid siya, liquid lang tanan. Kung solid, solid. Kung gas, gas lang tanan. Next. Another kind of mixture has uniform properties. Such a mixture is described as your homogeneous mixture and is also called other names. Sa inyo homogeneous mixture is a solution, which are homogeneous mixtures of metals in the solid state and air. Ano man na siya, kids? Again, it is a combination of two or more pure substances. Ano na siya, kids?
Mixtures.
Mixtures. If the combination of that mixture is uniform throughout.
Homogeneous.
Homogeneous. If it is not uniform throughout, ano siya as a mixture?
Heterogeneous.
Heterogeneous mixtures. Okay. So muna kids for our chapter 1. Ang quizzes ni kids, i-post ko lang sa inyo group ha. Paan nyo lang dayan. Multiple choice man siya through Google Form.